So we're talking about the energy of water. Small children naturally absorb the energy of water. They don't need to sit in water to receive the energy of water. Rather, they do need to, but not as much as an elderly person. The older a person becomes, the more they need to force their body to absorb this energy, because it leaves the body very quickly, and it doesn't replenish itself naturally like it does in small children. Adults and children who lack water energy, which sometimes happens, need to stay in water up to the chest to replenish water energy. And the colder the water, the more energy it contains, the faster it restores a person. There are high-capacity battery chargers for cars that charge a car in 15 minutes. They have very powerful batteries. And there are those that charge all day. If you stay in 28-degree water, it takes 70 minutes to charge your entire subtle energy body with water energy. But if you stay in 3-degree water, you only need 4.5 minutes to charge your entire subtle energy body. And replenishing water energy in ice-cold water is approximately 20 times more effective than replenishing it in 28-degree water. The water energy moves much more powerfully in your body when you stay in ice-cold water than if you stay in 28-degree water. But the problem is that most people have already lost the ability to absorb water energy. This atrophy occurs in 3 stages. The first stage is when you enter the water and you feel cold. It's difficult to be there, but you're not shaking. The second stage of atrophy, this is when you're shaking. This means that water energy is already being absorbed with difficulty. And the third stage of atrophy, this is when a person gets muscle cramps and their fingers and toes turn white. This means that the person should get out of the water because it's dangerous for their health to stay there. There is another form of relationship with water. It's called decompensation. What is it? This phenomenon means that a person is very much afraid of water, and they don't want to come into contact with it at all. They enter the water and start feeling bad. They feel very heavy inside. Because the body has become so unaccustomed to absorbing water energy, it's absolutely unable to. It's so weak that the person cannot stay in water. Even 28-degree water seems very cold to them. Raise your hand. Who finds it very difficult to stay in 28-degree water? This is already decompensation. When you enter 28-degree water, your body starts to absorb it. But this doesn't mean it will circulate normally inside. There are 2 functions. One function is absorption, the other is circulation, and both need to be activated. The absorption function is activated because you enter the water and stand there, and the circulation function is activated when you do static exercises. If you stand still for 65 minutes leaning against the wall, then in 65 minutes the entire subtle energy body fully activates the regulation of water energy. This is done layer by layer. It takes 13 minutes to activate energy circulation in the first energy layer. During the next 13 minutes, the second layer is activated. Another 13 minutes are needed to activate the third. Then 13 minutes, the fourth, and the last 13 minutes, the fifth. If you do static exercises for 40 minutes, then circulation of water energy won't be activated in your last 2 layers. All your water energy moves in the first 3 layers, but it doesn't move in the last 2. This means that your mood won't be filled with water energy. Your nervous system won't function properly and you won't have deep satisfaction with life. You'll struggle with many issues in life. Kidneys, liver, thyroid gland, spine, nervous system. Nothing gets replenished with water energy. But if you stand for 65 minutes, everything gets replenished. And if you can only stand for 13 minutes, only your first layer gets filled. This means practically nothing. If a person stays in water but doesn't do static exercises, they will still have inflammatory processes in their body. And it's still very harmful, because they go to the swimming pool but don't do static exercises. After some time, they will develop edema in their body. Some kind of puffiness and internal tension will appear. This means that water energy enters the body but isn't absorbed properly. If you've started staying in water, you need to do static exercises, otherwise it's wasted effort. I will gradually explain the entire methodology. I'm giving it to you superficially now, so that you absorb it better. I'm creating a system now. I'm giving you the material systematically. The next energy is air energy. It is absorbed through movement. What's the difference between air energy and water energy? Air energy is the natural environment for people. Fish live in water, and we live in an air environment. Therefore, when we're in water, we first absorb water and then activate its circulation. But in the air, these are combined, 2 in 1. When you walk outside breathing fresh air, prana enters the body, and circulation is activated. You can make it so that prana energy enters the body. If you practice the standing pose outdoors, prana energy simply enters you, but it enters very weakly and very superficially. But if you do this forcefully, for example, walk for 48 minutes, then your first layer gets completely filled with prana. If you walk for another 48 minutes without stopping, the second layer gets filled. After 4 hours of walking, all 5 layers are completely filled with prana. Do you feel the difference between filling the body with water energy and air energy? If you swim in a pool for 70 minutes, you'll be filled with water energy. But to be filled with air energy, you need to walk for 4 hours. But air energy doesn't get used up as quickly. You fill up with water energy and it gets used up quickly. To activate water energy circulation, you need to do static exercises 4 times a week. And to activate air energy circulation, you need to walk continuously for 4 hours once a week. That's about 21 kilometers, and your entire subtle energy body gets filled with prana, its circulation functions normally, and you feel well. But you need to work up to this. Most people won't be able to walk for 4 hours right away. It might even be harmful to their health. You need to approach this gradually. It's even harder to fill up with the energy of the sun. A person fills up with the energy of the sun through fasting. The simplest is fasting on greens. Greens are food that carries the energy of the sun. All leaves are charged by the sun. The very first cycle of sun absorption by living beings happens through leaves. The sun reaches us first through leaves. First it enters the leaves, then the stems, the roots, the fruits. First the leaves. Fruits themselves don't absorb the sun, but leaves absorb it. Therefore, leaves are the most sun-filled product on earth. And this is the only food that fills a person with the energy of the sun when consumed. This food contains energy. If you fast on apples, you don't fill up with the energy of the sun. But if you fast on leaves, you replenish the energy of the sun. When you blend lettuce leaves with water and drink this juice, you fill up with the energy of the sun. This is called passive fasting. Whether you practice active or passive fasting, you cleanse one energy layer in 12 hours and fill it with the energy of the sun. In 24 hours, 2 layers are cleansed. 36 hours, 3 layers. 48 hours, 4 layers. 60 hours, all 5 layers. This is the maximum fasting that a person needs. You don't need to fast longer. You can fast for 12 hours every day, 24 hours once a week, 36 hours once every 2 weeks, 48 hours once every 3 weeks, and 60 hours once a month. In fact, it is possible to be completely filled with the energy of the sun only once a month, and you will not have any problems. Getting filled with the energy of the sun happens slowly. There is another way to get filled with the energy of the sun, but it's not as deep. It's being in the sun. The speed of getting filled with the energy of the sun is different everywhere. For example, if during hot weather, early in the morning, you're in the sun, then in about 25 minutes, one energy layer gets filled. It takes a little more than 2 hours to replenish 5 layers of the human energy field with the energy of the sun. If it is hot weather, then you need 20 minutes. But this is already harmful to health. In winter in a southern city, your energy layer gets filled in 30 minutes. This is more beneficial for health. If there was a bright sun now, an absolutely cloudless sky, then in about 45 minutes you would fill one energy layer. This is absolutely inefficient. In other words, you need to stay in the sun for almost 4 hours to fill all 5 layers. Who has that much time? This sun won't be as strong either. Such filling will be weak. So we need 3 energies in life. The methodology of filling always starts with water, because when a person makes prolonged continuous movement, they expend water energy. When a person is fasting or stays in the sun, they expend both water and air energy simultaneously. Getting filled with the energy of the sun is the hardest, most dangerous, and the last thing you should do. In other words, when you're already staying in water, doing static exercises and walking, only sometime after this should you start fasting. Then there will be a good result. If you started healing practices with fasting, there might be a very bad result. For example, if you lack air energy and you're fasting, you get very unpleasant sensations in the stomach, headache, dizziness, and weakness. And think, fasting is not for me. You simply haven't replenished your air energy. During fasting, your body uses up the air energy and you feel bad. If you lack water energy, then when you fast, you get hot and want to eat badly. This happens most often. Water energy depletes the fastest, and as a result, during the fast, you feel hot, very weak, and really want to eat. Raise your hand if you fast and you feel hot, want to eat badly, and feel weak. You lack water energy. If you, while fasting, feel your whole body aching, feel internal pain, headache, dizziness, weakness, this means you're not ready for fasting because you lack air energy. You need to first replenish your water and air energy and only then start fasting. In this case, everything will be fine. Is it clear? You shouldn't be like this woman who says, Dr. Torsunov, I walked for 2 hours. Is this good? I say, good. She says, my knee is about to wear out. Naturally, because when you walk, the water energy in the body is gradually depleted. This doesn't happen in just one walk. A person walks for 6 months and doesn't stay in water. That means they increase their water decompensation. And what happens? Their inflammatory processes in the body increase. Why? Because water energy is used and you don't replenish it. You walk and spend water energy. The body heats up during walking, you understand? We start everything with water. What kind of water? Warm water. You need to fill a bathtub with water at 28 degrees. Buy a water thermometer. You should lie in this bath up to your chest. You can read a book, listen to lectures, or pray during this time. Well, you can do anything. You can chat on the phone if you want. The main thing is for the body to get filled with water energy and to avoid negative emotions. If you start feeling offended during this time, then you won't get filled with water energy. You will only make things worse for yourself, so when you lie in water, you should experience positive emotions. Therefore, it's best to listen to a lecture or pray or watch something funny. People often ask, should we lie in salt water or fresh water? My dears, we are talking about fresh water. Salt water increases dynamic cleansing, meaning cleansing of prana, but it should be very salty. For example, if you lie in salt water in the Dead Sea, then in 30 minutes air energy is cleansed in one energy layer in a passive way. This is very long. You need to stay in salt water for over 2 hours, 2.5 hours, to cleanse all 5 layers. We'll talk about this too. This technology also exists. It's for children who cannot walk. They have their own cleansing system. So the water should be 28 degrees. Why 28 degrees? Because this water temperature is for people who can't stay in 22-degree water because they get cold there. So we should start with 28 degrees. Buy a water thermometer. They're cheap, cost pennies. Buy it, put it in water and watch it. When water becomes 27 degrees, add some hot water. Set the time. You need to stay in 28-degree water for 70 minutes once a week. For those who severely lack water energy, who are very jittery, have all kinds of inflammations in the body, then they should do it twice a week. This is the maximum. If you want it faster, you can do it later. Start with 28 degrees, don't rush, otherwise you'll make it worse. You should understand that you need to start cleansing very carefully, and in a year you'll be easily staying in ice-cold water. In ice-cold water, you need only 4.5 minutes to cleanse the whole subtle energy body deeply. For example, 4 hours of walking cleans 5 layers. Tomorrow we'll run at 7 a.m. Everyone who wants to see how this all happens, come. I run 1 hour and 50 minutes and cleanse all 5 energy layers. About 6, 7, or 8 young, strong, healthy women and men will be able to run with me. Everyone else won't be able to, because you need to be very young and healthy to run at such a pace like I do. You all think I'm joking, right? And I really do run so fast that everyone barely keeps up. You should never start with cold water right away. Not even with 22 degrees. Don't rush anywhere. It's better to spend 3 to 4 months getting accustomed to it, because the body needs to start getting used to all this gradually. Start carefully, otherwise you'll regret it and won't be able to do anything at all later. So start with 28-degree water for 70 minutes.
Dr. Torsunov, can we stand in the shower?
No, only in still water. You can swim in a pool. Swimming is allowed, lying is allowed. The main thing is to be chest deep in water. Waist deep is very dangerous. There will be an overload. Immerse into 28-degree water up to your neck. But if you're in ice-cold water, immerse yourself in it only up to your chest, as neck-deep water can also be dangerous. Let's move on. This is the first practice. The second practice is static exercises. You can start it right away or a bit later, after a week, for example. When people have sick joints, they cannot sit in the butterfly pose or in the diamond pose. They start with the standing pose, but it is quite difficult. Even if the exercises are difficult, we still suggest doing them in an easier way. The simplest is the butterfly pose and the simplified diamond pose. You just sit on a sofa like this. Feet together, knees apart. Your back is leaning against the back of the sofa. During this time you can pray. It's good to pray at this time, or you can read something or listen to lectures. You can even watch something, but there must be positive emotions. While doing this exercise, you will feel your legs are very numb. They will get numb because water energy circulation is disrupted in everyone. When it's disrupted, numbness begins throughout the body. Everything starts to ache because when you take a stationary position of the body, the water energy starts to circulate and it's poor in everyone. Therefore, everything will ache. If it becomes unbearable to sit, legs are numb, then take a break and sit cross-legged for 20 seconds, and then get back to the butterfly pose. You can do this 3 times. If you still can't continue it, then you can finish the exercise. Gradually, you need to work up to 65 minutes, and during this time, you can generally observe where it becomes unbearable to sit. You can put a chart in front of you, 13 minutes, 26 minutes, 39, 52, 65. These are 5 layers of the human energy field. You watch at the clock, and suddenly at 29 minutes, it becomes difficult. You can't sit any longer. That means there is a blockage there, lack of water energy. It is the 3rd energy layer. From 26 minutes to 39, it is the 3rd energy layer. What does it mean? That means you already have problems with vessels, joints, or muscles. If you start feeling bad at 45 minutes, it means there is blockage at the 4th energy layer. If before 13 minutes, then it's on the 1st energy layer. And blockages don't change throughout life. You can determine exactly where your trap is by these blockages. There can be several of them. You must sit for 65 minutes. For example, if you sit for 40 minutes, you only cleanse 3 layers, and the other 2 are neglected, and they will remain neglected. Usually, if a person finishes in less than 65 minutes, it means they have some very strong, insurmountable energetic blockage. Did you understand how to sit in the butterfly pose? And now, the diamond pose. Do it on a soft couch. First you kneel, then sit it down on heels. You should put a cushion between your legs and buttocks to create distance between your buttocks and heels. This is called the simplified diamond pose. You should sit in this position. If you feel everything is numb, then rise to your knees for 20 seconds, no more, then sit down again. You can do this 3 times. These 2 body positions cleanse the lower part of the body from the lack of water energy. The upper part of the body is only cleansed when a person stands against a wall or kneels. There is more lack of water energy in the upper body than in the lower body, so start with the lower body. Start sitting in the butterfly pose, in the diamond pose, and gradually move to standing against the wall. The head needs to be treated too, because we think with it. This is important. Lack of water energy in the head is stronger. Therefore, the time will come when you need to do the standing pose twice a week, leaning against the wall. How should you stand against the wall? You stand at the wall, press against it, and move your feet away from the wall so you don't fall forward. Because when an energetic blockage is being cleansed, a person suddenly starts feeling dizzy and doesn't even notice how they fall down. This is very dangerous. You can simply die. Therefore, never start cleansing with a standing position. Work on yourself in the diamond pose, in the butterfly pose, and then try the kneeling. The kneeling pose also cleanses 5 layers in 65 minutes. Is it clear? All poses should be done for 65 minutes. If less, then the subtle energy body won't be fully cleansed. And this will lead to imbalance. For example, if you stand for 40 minutes for half a year, you keep cleansing 3 layers, but 2 layers remain uncleansed and you'll develop illness. If you cleanse 3 layers and don't cleanse the other 2, you'll have an imbalance and then illnesses begin in the whole body. Everything needs to be done correctly. Everything is written in the methodical guide. Do everything according to it. I'm explaining the same things that are written in the methodical guide. So you should stay in water and do static exercises 4 times a week. First, we do only exercises for the lower body, the butterfly pose and the diamond pose. Then we move to the upper body, do the standing pose 2 times a week, and also do the butterfly or the diamond pose 2 times a week. 4 times a week is enough to maintain water energy circulation. If you want, you can do static exercises every day. Now, there are additional options for children, disabled people, and mentally ill people. And also these additional options you can apply for idlers who don't want to do static exercises. First, such people should sit with their back against a tree. These should be deciduous trees. When they sit like this, passive water energy circulation begins. Even if they don't do healing practices, they should just sit with their back to the tree and sunbathe. Is it clear? You should hug your husband, but keep your back to the tree. Not your back to your husband, but hugging with the tree. This is a passive exercise. This is not an active exercise. While you're sitting relaxed near a tree for 20 minutes, 1 energy layer is cleansed. It happens just because you touch the tree. And in an hour and 40 minutes, all 5 layers are cleansed. This is passive cleansing. It's not as powerful as active cleansing, but it's excellent for immobilized people or for small children who won't do static exercises. You can tie a child to a tree. The child will sit there, fidget, but can't detach themselves from the tree. And when an hour and 40 minutes pass, you detach them from the tree, and that's all. You might ask, why does a child need this? I generally agree with this, but they need it when they have autism and cerebral palsy. These children have a huge lack of water energy in their fifth energy layer, and in order for them to become healthy, you need to help them to replenish this water energy. Otherwise, no one will ever be able to help this child in any way. If you want to make them normal or help a mentally ill person, then at least passive cleansing should be done. And if your child sits in water, does static exercises, in a year and a half they will be absolutely healthy. Isn't that great? The next option is called an inversion table. It's good for children. It should also be used by people who can't or don't want to do static exercises. It replaces static exercise by about 70%. What is it? It's a couch where your feet are secured. You turn upside down and hang completely vertically. If you stay 3.5 minutes in this position, one energy layer is cleansed. It takes 17.5 minutes to cleanse 5 energy layers. Start hanging for 3.5 minutes and don't rush anywhere. You should increase the time gradually because hanging upside down is a strain. It's forbidden for people with high blood pressure. It's forbidden for people with cerebral circulation problems. It's also forbidden for people who are very overweight. It's very beneficial for children. They love hanging upside down. They enjoy it. It takes 3.5 minutes to cleanse 1 energy layer and 17.5 minutes to cleanse 5 energy layers. Do it gradually. Add 1 layer at a time, meaning add 3.5 minutes per layer. Hang upside down for 7 minutes, then 10.5 minutes, then 14 minutes, and then 17.5. I have an inversion table at home and I use it every day. If static exercises are hard to do, let's say you don't have strength, you can hang upside down for 17.5 minutes. It's practically the same as if I stood by the wall for 65 minutes. Is it clear? Small children won't stand by the wall, but if you hang them up, their subtle energy body will be cleansed. And they get rid of autism. That's great, really great. A schizophrenic also doesn't want to stand because they have a mental illness. They can stay in water for 70 minutes, hang upside down, and 50% of the illness will go away. Because schizophrenia is mainly related to the energies of air and water. It is more complicated to replenish air energy, as you need to make the person walk. At least the water energy can be replenished. If a person lies in the bathtub, hangs upside down, everything will be great. Let's move on.
What about headstand?
My dears, let's not do any extreme things. Because headstand is extreme. When a person stands on their head, it takes approximately 1.5 minutes to cleanse 1 energy layer, but only for advanced practitioners. I haven't researched it thoroughly. This is a very powerful, intense cleansing, and accordingly in 6 minutes all 5 energy layers will be cleansed. But I don't recommend starting specifically with this.
What about a shoulder stand?
For shoulder stand, it takes 8 minutes to cleanse 1 energy layer, so 8 times 5 is 40 minutes for complete cleansing. But this is very intense. I don't recommend a shoulder stand either. Let's not do any extreme things. I told you about the inversion table. That's it. Let's move on. If you've started doing static exercises, staying at 28 degrees water, then approximately after 2 weeks you can start prolonged continuous movement. There's no longer a danger that your joints will get inflamed or that you'll have other issues, because you've cleansed yourself by using water energy. So you can start prolonged continuous movement. Don't rush, you have eternity ahead of you. You can walk 48 minutes every day, or multiply 48 by 2 and walk once every 2 days. Multiply 48 by 3, then walk once every 3 days. Multiply 48 by 4 once every 4 days, and multiply 48 by 5 once every 5 days. 5 energy layers, or 48 multiplied by 5 is 4 hours. This is 21 kilometers. You can walk this distance even once a week. That's quite enough. Once every 5 days is the minimum. You shouldn't walk more frequently because it will be an overload. I run once every 6 days because running more often is too much strain on the body. During one run, I lose more than 2 kilograms of fluid right away. It's a big strain on the body, so I recover for 5 days after that. Then I run again and follow this schedule. I have 5 runs per month. 5 multiplied by 17. It turns out I run 85 kilometers per month. Not every horse runs this much. So how should you walk? My dear friends, you need to do it without rushing anywhere. Let's say you're walking and you feel it's getting difficult. So remember how far you've walked and walk the same distance next time. After 3 months, you'll walk a bit more, then a bit more. It took me 2.5 years to work up to running 17 kilometers, but I started running at 50 years old, you see. It's better to walk than to run. It's better to walk for 4 hours than run for 1 hour, because when you walk for 4 hours, you cleanse all 5 energy layers. And when you run for 1 hour, you only cleanse 3 energy layers. That's in the best case scenario. Most likely you cleanse 2.5 layers, and that's very bad. Because if you walk and only cleanse 2.5 layers, after 6 months you'll have an imbalance in the last layers that you're not cleansing. Therefore, it's best to reach all 5 layers within half a year. Everyone can gradually reach 21 kilometers. Now, how to be confident? Ladies, don't look at me with those big eyes. When I started running, I was sure that I would never run 5 kilometers in my life. After 2.5 years, I was running 17 kilometers normally without any problems. A person is such a creature that adapts to everything. I'll explain everything to you now. On the website torsunov.com you'll find the material section, and in this section there's a calculation of time for healing practices. You'll see 3 icons with an image of a person. One is sitting in water, another is running, and the third is sitting in lotus pose. Click on the icon depicting running. There's the top scale for kilometers, second scale for time, and the third scale where numbers change. These numbers mean layers. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and maybe 6 and 7. There are 5 layers in total, remember that. 7 means you've already started cleansing for the second round, and each layer has 7 sub-layers. Therefore, there will be, for example, 1 layer and 1/7. That means that you've cleansed 1 layer and 1/7 of the next layer, because in the subtle energy body, besides 5 energy layers, there are also sub-layers. In total, there are 35 sub-layers. You should buy a watch that measures distance and time, and preferably pulse rate too. And you can walk, run, and do whatever you want. Monitor the distance and see how much you've run, walked, or crawled in a certain amount of time. Then look at this scale to see how much you've cleansed. If a person, for example, runs and walks, then they don't need to move for 4 hours, but maybe 3 or 2.5 if they mostly run. I run 6 minutes 30 seconds per kilometer on average, and at this speed for 17 kilometers I cleanse all 5 energy layers. And if you run 5 minutes 30 seconds per kilometer, like my assistant Anthony who runs like the wind, then in 1 hour and 30 minutes he cleanses all 5 layers. He runs 15 kilometers. The faster the speed, the shorter the distance. Accordingly, if a person walks, it's 21 kilometers, and if they crawl, it's probably 25 kilometers and takes 10 hours. I don't know, I haven't crawled, but the slower the speed, the longer the distance, and the longer you need to move. My dear friends, please don't choose fast speeds. Start everything carefully, because otherwise your body will be overloaded and will suffer. During all these practices, a person begins to heal after some time. If you do these 3 practices, healing will begin. How does this manifest? You'll start feeling some aching, not sharp pain, but specifically an aching sensation. When something is aching, it's healing. There's no need to be afraid. This aching usually lasts 3-4 months and then passes. The person heals completely, meaning the body starts to recover because it gains energy. All body recovery goes through mild exacerbation. If sharp pain starts, especially during movement, it means you're overloading yourself. This means you need to do everything slower, but don't stop. If something starts aching, don't go to the doctor because the doctor will scare you. You need to continue movement, continue static exercises, continue dynamic exercises because your body has started healing. It needs energy. Don't stop doing all of this.
A question about traffic. When you walk in the city, there are always traffic lights.
Don't walk in the city. Walk in a park somewhere or walk in circles.
Sometimes I have to walk in the city because when I work, it would be logical to do these 4 hours after work.
You shouldn't stand still, but walk in place.
What about all the traffic lights?
Walk in place. If you stand still, your cleansing will stop. I'm being serious. It is bad physiologically speaking. When you are standing still, the cleansing is reversed, meaning that it's better not to stop.
Thank you. This question has been bothering me for a long time, actually.
Actually, we are working on a watch application. It works on smart watches. If you would like to be a part of our testing team, you can install it on your watch. You can already use this app and monitor the cleansing of all the 5 energy layers while you walk or run. All processes in the body are shown on the screen. If you immerse in water wearing a watch that measures water temperature, then it will show how fast the cleansing is going. If your watch doesn't measure temperature, you can measure the water temperature using a thermometer. We already have it all in the app. It's working. You can also install the app on your phone, run with it anywhere, stay in water, do whatever you want. All this will be available soon, but for now there's a table on the website. Enter the distance you walked and the time it took, and the program will show you how many energy layers you have cleansed.
Is it right that we should start with water cleansing? Or can we do sun cleansing right away?
Yes, everyone starts with water, otherwise they will worsen their condition. I'm being serious, it is not a joke. Please read the methodical health guide and follow it exactly. Everyone starts with water, no exceptions. We do everything by the book. You can introduce a new practice about 2 to 3 months after you have started the previous one. The sun cleansing starts with fasting on greens. The best one is lettuce. Chop lettuce in a blender, fill the blender up with lettuce, add water, whiz, and you get a kind of juice. A smoothie or a lettuce sauce, whatever you get, you drink it. You can add a little salt, but if you add honey, lemon, or any other stuff, it won't cleanse the subtle energy body anymore. You can only add a little bit of salt, that's it. 24 hours fasting on greens cleanses 2 energy layers. You can even start with 1 layer, which is 12 hours of fasting.
Is it supposed to be a smoothie? Sometimes it turns out very thick.
You can eat it with water, but no oil. If you add oil to greens and make a salad, it's not fasting anymore.
I tried blending just lettuce and nothing more. It's not tasty.
Well, okay, then just eat lettuce.
Is it fine to eat plants grown under lamps?
Yes, it is fine. They are not as good as sun-grown, of course, but still okay.
Can we just fast on water?
Water fasting is all right, but not dry fasting. I forbid dry fasting because it doesn't remove toxins from the body. They stay there. You can only dry fast after you have cleansed well. So it takes 12 hours to cleanse 1 energy layer and 24 hours for 2 layers. Appropriately, start with 12 hours, then 24, then 36. Increase time gradually. Personally, I do fasting for 36 hours. I've been practicing cleansing for 10 years now, but I only fast for 36 hours. In general, fasting is not the only way to activate the energy of the sun. There's also a steam room or sauna cleansing practice. I'll tell you how to do it now. You stay in water for 5 layers, but not 28-degree water. If you're moving on to the sauna practice, you should at least learn to endure 22-degree water. Otherwise, this practice may worsen your condition. The colder the water, the easier it is to handle the sauna. You stay in 22-degree water cleansing 5 energy layers, which takes 40 minutes, and then you go into the sauna. Here is how it works. Any steam room or sauna cleanses the energy of the sun, but the cleansing doesn't go very deep. It will cleanse blockages related to bodily diseases, but those related to mental state can only be cleansed through fasting. Still, treating just bodily diseases is great. Once you enter the sauna, you must lie down. Sitting is a no-go because of a huge temperature imbalance between your feet and head. If you're sitting, the temperature around your feet and head is several degrees apart. Therefore, you should lie down only. It's very important to understand that you'll need to stay in the sauna for a prolonged time for the purpose of cleansing. You will also need to know the temperature you can possibly handle that long. It is determined using this kind of a gauge. It's a thermometer and humidity meter. It has 2 hands. You don't put it somewhere up high, but right at your body level. It's crucial to know that temperature plus humidity should sum up to 110 through 120 units. Let's say the temperature is 60 degrees Celsius and the humidity is 50%. It will make a very comfortable cleansing. You won't even notice it. 110 units is great. As the cleansing is sluggish at 100 units, it makes it hard to handle. At the same time, 120 is the most a beginner can take. Because it is very tough, 110 units is best. It could be 70-degree temperature plus 40% humidity, or 80 degrees plus 30 humidity, or 90 degrees plus 20 humidity. They sum up to 110. In a hammam, it's 47.5 degrees tops, so the sum is 110. It takes 10 minutes per energy layer. Start with 30 minutes. If you stay in water for 5 layers, then warming up should take 20 minutes. You should always warm up the first 2 layers. Once you reach the 3rd layer, you start heating up and it becomes hard. Beginners should not risk more than cleansing 3 layers in hammam. Lie down for 30 minutes in a 110-unit sauna and then go into water for 1 layer. You should cleanse 1 layer in 22-degree water for 8 minutes, stay in water chest deep, and then the whole procedure is over. You can increase the hammam or sauna time up to 50 minutes. In 50 minutes, 5 energy layers are cleansed. That's how I do it. First, I cleanse 5 layers in cold water. Then I cleanse 5 layers in the sauna. Finally, 1 layer in water again. It's better not to eat before the sauna. You can eat right after, that's fine. Hammam and sauna also cleanse the energy of the sun. If your small child has cerebral palsy or autism and cannot walk, there is also passive cleansing of air energy. It is generally possible. Find a salt room. The temperature there is usually around 50 degrees. In this salt room, one layer is cleansed by pure air energy in 10 minutes. You activate the air energy and remove its blockages. First, water for 5 layers, then a salt room for as long as the child can handle, and again water for 1 layer. It somewhat substitutes prolonged continuous movement. A person with very bad joints can move on an elliptical machine. An elliptical machine barely affects the joints, meaning that one's feet are practically not moving at all and the knees are bending very little. You can exercise even with a paralyzed leg because your 2 arms and the other leg will get the paralyzed leg going. It will move passively. Even blind people can use an elliptical machine. I tried closing my eyes and I could move just fine. No problem because everything is under control. How do you determine the time it takes to cleanse on an elliptical machine? It's absolutely individual. I'll tell you how. You walk for 48 minutes outdoors. This applies to any activity except running and walking. You can do Nordic walking or bends, whatever you want. Any kind of movement cleanses, but the speed of cleansing is determined individually using the following method. Let's say you walk for 48 minutes about 4 kilometers. Approximately 1 energy layer is cleansed. According to the table, you can see that exactly 1 energy layer has been cleansed. While walking, your heart rate was 100 beats per minute. It is your individual heart rate. Now get on an elliptical machine. Maintaining a heart rate of 100 beats per minute for 48 minutes, you will cleanse 1 energy layer. Having no distance on an elliptical machine, you just monitor your heart rate. There is time and heart rate. To begin with, you should establish an average heart rate. It takes a test. You have a certain heart rate while running. Say your average heart rate for 1 energy layer while running is 140. When you maintain 140 on the elliptical machine, it's as if you're running already. If you have cleansed 1 energy layer in 22 minutes of running, then similarly exercising on an elliptical machine for 22 minutes at 140 beats, you'll have cleansed 1 energy layer. The same applies to bends and other exercises. Instead of distance, your average heart rate will guide you. You can jump rope or do whatever else you want in the gym and use the average heart rate as a reference. You can use a treadmill. Technically, it does measure distance, which you can use as a reference. The only thing is the treadmill incline should be no more than 0.5%. Any steeper and it becomes uphill running, so it's no longer cleansing, but forced movement. I have a big request, please don't choose terrain with steep ups and downs for walking or running, otherwise it is not cleansing, but cardio. Instead of cleansing your body, you'll just be straining it badly. In other words, you will be spending more air energy than you are taking in. You'll be spending energy but not replenishing it. From a health perspective, such activity has no benefit. You aren't bored, are you? My dears, please, if you're fasting, it's best not to run at the same time. I've tried it. I've been training for a very long time. I can run at minus 26 degrees Celsius. I can sit in an ice hole at minus 20. I can run in cold wind and snow, in a big storm, and it will not do a thing to me. I won't get sick, nothing bad will happen. But recently I tried running after I had fasted for 36 hours. I broke the fast with fruits, and then about 6 hours later, I went running. I ran for 3 energy layers, my heart rate increased significantly, and I stopped the experiment there. However, if you first run for 5 energy layers and then fast, there are no problems at all. You shouldn't fast either during running or after running. Also, you shouldn't go to the sauna while fasting. There is one more thing I would like to tell you about saunas. If you went straight into the steam room and then into the water, you only have yourself to blame. What happens? First, you drive the heat into the subtle energy body. Then you push it deep inside with the cold, then the heat again, then cold again. Thus you make a kind of sandwich that ends with heat. Your nervous system will overheat terribly. You'll simply ruin your health. The sequence should be like this: the cold, the heat, the cold. Is it clear? This is the only way.
Dr. Torsunov, how many times a month should one cleanse 5 energy layers in the sauna?
You can do it every week. I do it after every flight. I travel every 3 days. Right after each flight, I go to the sauna straight from the airport. And remember, hammam cleanses water and sun energy simultaneously, while sauna cleanses air and sun energy. If a child has cerebral palsy, you can use water, an inversion table, and you can cleanse air energy with a sauna, dry steam. A sauna is much harder for children than for adults to bear. A child's body is much more sensitive to heat. So while 110 units is optimal for you, 90 is optimal for a small child. That roughly means 50 degrees and 40% humidity. Children cannot bear more than that. For a child, it takes 10 minutes to cleanse one energy layer.
How effective is it in the gym?
Many women find it very difficult to walk outside for various reasons like dogs, alcoholics, or idlers, so they run in the gym. Sometimes it's scary for a woman to take long walks outside. It may be late at night, so I offer you some options. The first option is a treadmill and an open window. After running, make sure to go outside. When a person runs, they develop an affinity for air energy. The body demands it. When they go outside afterwards, they absorb all this air energy. The best option is a balcony. There's no difference between a street and a balcony. You go out on the balcony and run on a treadmill. There are flat treadmills. You can take them anywhere you want. You can take them out to the yard, walk there, and then bring them back in.
Is it better to get energy from a holy spring?
If you want to get water energy, you need to get in the water and stay there. Whether it's a holy spring or not, if you jump in and out of an ice hole, it's a stimulating practice, not a cleansing one. You're not extending your life. You're not cleansing your subtle energy body. You're just stimulating yourself, and that's all. You need to get into an ice hole and stay there for 4.5 minutes. After staying in an ice hole for 4.5 minutes, you must go to a hot tub and lie there. Or to a sauna, because you must warm up after freezing water. If the bathtub is 40 degrees, it will take 20 minutes at least. So my dear friends, let's move forward. What have I just told you about? I've told you about a rejuvenation method. Now I'll tell you about the kind of mess we have on the inside. Every person has 5 energy layers of the subtle body. Let's look at water energy, for example. It moves in all 5 energy layers, but there's one problem. Every person has 3 complete and 1 incomplete energetic blockages in the 5 layers that prevent water energy from moving. These may not actually be blockages, but every person is predisposed to have them. One energy layer is divided into 7 sublayers. Predisposition to an energetic blockage takes up 4 sublayers. Depending on a person, it can be located in different sublayers. Further, a blockage takes up about 1 sublayer in the subtle energy body and about 1/4 of it in the physical body. 1/4 of the sublayer, meaning that in and of itself the blockage, which manifests as diseases, is approximately 14 times smaller than an energy layer. However, even that is enough to simply make a person sick and kill them. The point is that unless a person cleanses their subtle energy body, they accumulate blockages related to both physical and subtle energy bodies. The blockages gradually grow. When they do, they make a person sick. When do chronic diseases occur and who has them? Same as the water energy, the air energy has only 4 blockages, 3 complete and 1 incomplete. The sun energy also has 4 blockages, 3 complete blockages and 1 incomplete. When 2 blockages are located, one directly on top of another in some layer, they bind together in an upright position. The binding always leads to a chronic intractable disease in a person. 3 blockages can bind like this also. I've only encountered it once or twice in my practice. This disease is extremely difficult to cure. You need to do cleansing for a long time. Until these blockages are erased, the disease will persist. Blockages located 1 sublayer away from another also manifests as chronic diseases, although not as difficult to treat. It may be that a person has all 3 energies blockages accumulating in the second layer. They might not be very close to each other, but they are piled up in the second layer. In this case, the person will tend to have colds, skin diseases, constipation, diarrhea, gastritis. It depends on where these blockages manifest in the body, the upper or the lower body. A blockage associated with the physical body will be gradually dissolving over approximately 8 months of cleansing. And it takes approximately 3 years for a blockage associated with the subtle energy body to dissolve. In other words, if a person performs all the practices that I've described for about 8 months, then the subtle energy body is cleansed of blockages related to health. And after 8 months, the body begins to heal from chronic diseases. This healing takes 6 months to a year, depending on how much you've let things go. I've completely healed everything I had in 4 energy layers over 10 years of running and static exercises. I have nothing left related to diseases. And now I'm healing the 5th layer. Cool, isn't it? I'm 60 years old. Despite the age, my body is undergoing deep healing. I can handle very significant physical challenges. In a year, I fly 80,000 kilometers around the Earth. That's twice around the Earth. And I remain healthy through all this. I don't get medical checkups, don't undergo any treatment, nothing hurts. Try to get a 60-year-old into an ice hole and they will not come out. I walk into an ice hole like I walk into a house. I have no problems at all. A person gets used to cleansing and feels great, simply great if they do all of this. But there is one condition here, one rule. Even if you find it all difficult to do, continue. Please don't stop. Continue and you will see tremendous results in your life. However, if you do not follow the table, the rules or the methodology, then blame yourself. It's very dangerous. There are several more cleansing rules that I will explain to you. In case you neither do water practices for 3 layers, nor static exercises for 3 layers, you are not supposed to walk for 4 layers. If you do water practices and static exercises for 3 layers, but walk for 4 layers, then 1 layer will be overloaded. If you do water practices, static exercises, and walking for 3 layers, you are not supposed to fast for 4 layers. Never exceed water practices and static poses. Water is the foundation of health. It's best to do water practices for 5 layers, stay in water for 5 layers, do static exercises for 5 layers, and then you can do everything else for as many layers as you want. You will not be in any danger. If you are behind on water cleansing or do it incorrectly, then all the other cleansing practices will overload you. Is it possible to do without fasting? You can do without fasting using a sauna instead. Is it possible to do without fasting and sauna? No. An imbalance will occur if you cleanse water and air for a long time, but not sun energy. The imbalance will cause allergic reactions in your body and you will keep getting sick. If you are very ill, cleansing goes as follows. Water for 1 layer, static exercises for 1 layer, dynamic exercises for 1 layer, and fasting for 1 layer. After doing this for 3 months, move on to 2 layers. Water for 2 layers, static exercises for 2 layers, dynamic exercises for 2 layers, and fasting for 2 layers. Then move on to 3 layers. Very sick people, elderly, weakened, and alike should proceed like this. Young, strong, fine people, more or less healthy, can do water for 5 layers, static exercises for 5 layers straight away. Catch up with dynamic exercises as much as you can. Be careful fasting too. Increase it gradually. If you're an athlete and you are doing great, then do water for 5 layers, static exercises for 5 layers, dynamic exercises for 5 layers. And still build up fasting gradually.
Can static exercises replace water practices?
There are no replacements. Fasting treats the sun energy. Static exercises treat the water energy. How can they replace one another? Static exercises don't replace water practices because they move the water energy. If you only do static exercises, then you will deplete your water energy and get sick again. First, we soak in water.
Dr. Torsunov, what if we cleanse the upper body for 2 days, then the lower body for 2 days? Or should it be daily?
It's fine given that you exercise daily. Let's say you got up and found it hard to stand. You feel weak. This means you've already depleted your water energy. You just need to stay in water twice a week, that's it.
You also said that we shouldn't do static and dynamic exercises on the same day. How can we do them daily then?
Let me explain it to you now. If you do dynamics, you should always finish with water. Let's say you did dynamic exercises for 5 layers. Afterwards, it's best to soak in water for 5 layers. It combines well, but if you go on to do static exercises for 5 layers on that same day, it will overload you.
That's what I'm saying. It won't be possible every day.
True, but it is not the case if you have trained yourself. For example, I didn't do it for many years, but now I do, and it's easy for me. Tomorrow morning I will go for a run. Then I'll soak in water, and I will sit in the butterfly pose for 5 layers at tomorrow's retreat. It won't overload me now, but it would have 3 years ago. Everything depends on training. My assistant, for example, runs for 5 layers during a 60-hour fast and still goes to the sauna. It's easy for him because he's trained, but an untrained person will immediately meet their maker.
You also said that before the sauna, one should have cold exposure. So we don't just go to the sauna anymore? For example, I exercise and then go to the sauna.
No, that's harmful and unhealthy. If you just want to go to the sauna, you still should soak in water first, then sauna, then again water.
Does shower replace it?
No, it doesn't. What you need is the cold. Once we arrived in northern Kazakhstan, there was no proper water there. It was 28 degrees Celsius, which is nothing for me. I thought I did not have 70 minutes for water. Good thing it was -20 outside. We put on hats, mittens, and footwear and went outside in swimming trunks. At -20 air energy, prana cleansing takes place. Get filled with prana at -20 for 20 minutes. That is enough to fully restore the 5 energy layers. Then we went to the steam room and then back outside. It works in winter: air, steam room, air. Alternatively, lie down on the snow. 7 minutes on the snow fills all 5 energy layers with prana. Snow for 7 minutes, then the steam room, then 1 minute on snow.
I have a question about static exercises. You said 65 minutes maximum. Is there no need to hold the pose longer, 1.5 or 2 hours?
It causes problems. Also, if you walk for more than 4 hours, the cleansing cycle starts over, causing an overload. I simply tested it. There's a holy place in India called Govardhan Hill. The road around it is 21.5 kilometers long, and I couldn't help but finish circumventing the hill. I ran around it for 17 kilometers, 5 energy layers, and there were still 4.5 kilometers left, which is enough to cleanse 1.5 layers. I was just experimenting. I ran on and on for 5 energy layers, and then the cleansing started over. My pulse started going up. It was gradually increasing. It was happening during the second round. Right after 5 layers, it really started to climb. The body was saying there was too much strain. So, a second round of cleansing starts. It causes much tension. The same happens if you stay in water. You've gone through 5 layers, you start the second round, and get tension. When fasting over 60 hours, once the second round starts, there's tension.
How do we combine it with prayer? For example, you say that it's better to pray in a static pose, but then you say that one should pray longer than 2 hours a day.
It means you are no longer in a static pose.
Simple, yes.
When you pray, the prayer affects the subtle energy body too, and we combine it with a static pose. For the first 13 minutes, one cleanses their relationships with this world. The first energy layer pertains to this world and relationships. The second energy layer pertains to emotions. Accordingly, 26 minutes of prayer cleanse one's emotions and emotional contacts with people. Then, for the next 13 minutes, one's thoughts and mental contacts with people get cleansed through prayer. Another 13 minutes cleanse one's mood, and the final 13 one's deep relationships with this world. All one's past lives are there, along with fear of heights or fear of confined spaces. Fear of loneliness also roots in past lives. All these fears get cleared between 52nd minute to 60th, if done along with prayer. Healing practice alone won't remove fears. They are removed by spiritual practice when combined with static exercises.
In what case may we freestyle a long prayer?
Yes, you can do that after.
Does it mean we can relax from the static position we held?
Yes, then you can sit and relax. I've actually seen very few people who could endure the force of concentration that I suggest at retreats for more than 65 minutes. It takes a Terminator, really. It's very difficult. Few people pray with the focus that I teach at retreats. Most people don't strain themselves like that, but focused prayer defeats fate and cleanses in a big way. It works very powerfully.
Why is 28-degree water hot? Do you not like it?
The thing is that water is the most merciful environment which never overloads. I had different experiences. Once 60 of us went to a city east of Moscow where the water was 7 degrees. There was a steam room. First, all the 60 people, children and elderly people among them, went into the 7-degree water under my supervision. I made sure they were chest deep in the water. All 5 energy layers are cleansed in 10 minutes in 7-degree water. We stood in 7-degree water for 10 minutes. Everyone was squeaking and yelling. Then we all went into a huge wood-fired steam room. I monitored people, as not all of them could stay in the steam room for all 5 layers. I made some leave earlier if they started feeling unwell. The reason is that sun energy is a dangerous one. You can't risk it. We proceeded with 7-degree water for 1 layer. Not a single person got sick. Everyone was well. If you do everything correctly, you will feel great. Otherwise, problems begin, as in case you stay in ice-cold water for 3 layers instead of 5. Then your kidneys act up. People say not to take ice-cold baths to preserve the kidneys. I'll tell you how it works now. Kidneys are on the 4th energy layer. If you stay in ice-cold water for 3 minutes and then get out, your kidneys are knocked out because of an imbalance between the first layers and the last ones, a bad one at that. You charge the first layers with water energy very powerfully, but the last ones aren't connected with water at all. This imbalance immediately damages the kidneys. And so, my dears, follow the instructions to the letter. Let's say you're dealing with low temperatures and high speeds. A person who runs at high speed for 3 energy layers will have spinal problems in 6 months. Therefore, if you've decided to run, then follow the schedule for all 5 energy layers precisely, and you will be completely fine. Yes?
Dr. Torsunov.
Did you come from Samara City?
Yes.
Glad to see you.
I walked for exactly 4 hours for 2 years, and now, for the past 2 years, I've been running for 2 hours. I run 14 kilometers in 2 hours.
You're not getting all 5 energy layers.
Do I need to walk the rest?
Yes, I'm absolutely sure that you were not cleansing all 5 energy layers in 14 kilometers. Most likely, you need to run about 18.5 kilometers in total. We'll check tomorrow. I'll tell you exactly how many layers you've cleansed. Come to me tomorrow after you've run, and I'll tell you.
Okay, thank you very much.
How are you feeling, by the way? You're doing all these practices. How is your life in general? Has it changed over the past 2 years?
I don't know if it's right, but I would like to say that this year has been difficult for me.
Yes, that's true.
I feel like fate is weighing me down, but I am chipper. I soak in cold water twice a week. I run once a week, and I fast for 36 hours once a week.
And how long do you do static exercises?
To be honest, I'm lazy when it comes to static exercises, and I do 40 minutes every day.
My dear, you can't do it like that. You need 65 minutes.
To be honest, I can't do it yet. I can stand still, but can't do the butterfly pose.
Then stand. My dear, 40 minutes is not right. You're doing all the practices. Since you're running but not doing the static exercise properly, it will cause a rough imbalance. You are supposed to do 65 minutes any way you can. Whether standing or kneeling, make it 65 minutes. Don't break the rules, otherwise you'll get sick.
So I am supposed to do 65 minutes 4 days a week.
Yes, you are.
And the other poses that I can't do yet, I can do them for 40 minutes.
Right?
Thank you very much.
My dears, please listen. You get on familiar terms with your fate immediately once you start all these healing practices. For example, if you underdo water practice, then fate starts to suppress you through water. If static exercises have become harder to do, that's how you know what's happening with your life. Or you may feel suppression through air, making running difficult. Again, you know what's happening with your life. If fasting becomes difficult, it means you're in decline sun energy-wise. What causes premature death? Let's say fate takes away energy from a person, and they lack 20% of energy in life. 35% deficit is incompatible with life. The person hits a rough patch and loses another 15% of energy. That's it, buy a coffin. If a person's energy drops by 15%, but they still have 100% overall, then they're just a normal, healthy person who's slightly off track. And that's all. What's the difference between those who do healing practices and those who don't? Those who don't practice, it leads to premature death for all of them.
Can we wear a hat in a sauna?
Yes, you can. But as a professional, I don't wear a hat anymore. I go in and lie down like that. I feel better that way. But for beginners, a hat is better.
When I covered myself with a wet sheet, my pulse dropped and I felt better.
That's normal. Your question. Who here performs healing practices for all 5 energy layers? How do you feel? Is life good?
Excellent. I love everyone, including you, Dr. Torsunov.
Yeah, just don't tell my wife. Who does static and dynamic exercises for all 5 energy layers and a bit of sun exposure? How do you feel? Good? Has your life changed? So, my dears, look at those who are already practicing and do the same. Life changes, it becomes better, easier, and more fun. Now let me tell you how to deal with schizophrenics, autistics, difficult children, alcoholics, smokers, and people who indulge in vice. Any member of your family is your fate. They all represent your past life. It's like the tail of a lizard. It follows behind, making it hard for the lizard to run. Sometimes it sheds it, but it's still its tail. You understand, it will eventually have to grow back. So, my dears, if someone close to you is lacking water energy, they're very nervous, sensitive, irritable, and don't want to go into water. And static exercises are something they can't stand at all. There's a phenomenon where whatever a person dislikes doing, that's exactly what they need to do. For example, if you don't like walking, then you need to walk. If you don't like staying in water, then you need to stay in water. If you don't like fasting, then you need to fast. But you still need to start doing everything right. Water, static exercises, dynamic exercises, fasting. So let's say a loved one doesn't want to sit in the water. You can go through 3 cycles of destiny. The first cycle, you sit in the water, you develop a positive habit, you feel good, you enjoy the water, and you stop worrying about it. After a while, you'll start to like it. This is the first cycle of fate. Then you come home and say, I feel so good in the water, I'm really enjoying it. And your loved one will say, well, enjoy yourself. At first, they'll just counter your words, but later they'll start to engage with you saying, great, keep it up, it's good for you. Then they'll realize that it's beneficial. And that's it. The second cycle of fate is complete. Now you keep sitting in the water, and after some time they'll want to do it too, and then they'll start doing it themselves. This is the third cycle of fate. Just like it happened with my wife, for example. My wife is really lacking water energy. She's very sensitive, vulnerable, and has always been afraid of water. She doesn't want to go into the water, she's scared. In the end, I'm going into the water, seeing that she doesn't want to, and it's impossible to make her go. So what should I do? I started helping her through water. I'd sit in the water and think, this is for my wife. That's it. Then I come home and say, it was so great sitting in the water. At first she says, we'll stay there. Then she starts saying, yeah, you need it, go ahead. Did you actually sit in the water or not? The second cycle of fate. So she starts motivating me to sit in the water because she feels that it helps me. By the third cycle of fate, she starts realizing that she needs to get in the water too. And recently, we were at a festival at Isikul. My assistant Darla went into the water for all 5 layers. There were thermal springs there, hot water and cold water. Like the character from The Little Humpbacked Horse, and my wife thought, am I some kind of outsider? So she got into the cold water, 13 degrees Celsius, sat in it, and shivering with Darla. Then she got into the hot water as scheduled, and then back into the cold water again. She came home and said, oh, that was so great. And she started doing it all. Now she does everything for all 5 layers. I don't even have to remind her anymore. She also started walking, doing it for 5 layers on her own, when she didn't want to walk before. Time comes, and loved ones start participating. You just need to invest in them. There's also prayer. You pray for your loved one. The first cycle of fate is peace for your loved one. The second is influencing them. And the third is their change. For example, they drink. The first cycle of fate is that you gain peace of mind. After you've prayed through the first cycle, you'll feel calm in your heart regarding your drinker. Then the second cycle of fate comes. You can talk to them about how harmful drinking is, and they'll listen to you. In the third cycle, they'll start quitting. But to quit drinking, they need to sit in the water and do static exercises because alcoholism is a lack of water energy. To quit smoking, they need to walk for 4 hours because smoking is a blockage on the 5th layer associated with air energy. And alcoholism is a blockage on the 5th layer associated with water energy. And if a person is indulging in vice, that's a blockage on the 5th layer connected with sun energy. And accordingly, when a person clears this blockage, their interest in these things disappears. You understand?
Is there a difference between standing in the water and swimming there?
Swimming and standing are the same. You can lie in the water, stand, or swim. The main thing is that you're submerged to your chest.
Thank you.
If your spouse swims, buy an inversion table and let them hang on it. Or have them sit by a tree. The thing is, if they swim and don't do static exercises, it will cause overload over time. So try to do everything correctly. As for sick children, I've given you the methods, at least the water, at least an inversion table, at least go to a salt room. Even better, hold their hand. How do you clean 5 layers with a small child? Let's say your child is 3 or 4 years old, very small. They can't walk at the same speed as you, right? You walk at their speed. Watch how they walk to make sure they walk fast, and then walk at their pace. It may be slow for you. You're walking, barely moving your legs, keeping in mind the pace they walk at. And they have a lively little step. Remember the pace, then do the following. You walk with them holding hands at that pace, so you're not counting kilometers. You're counting time, 4 hours. How far will they walk holding your hand? About 40 minutes, right? They say, Mom, I want to go there. No problem. You don't stop, you walk at their pace, and you just call them. They run, sit, and walk. And if you don't stop, in 4 hours, they'll clear all 5 layers. The system is clear, right? In a year or a year and a half, an autistic child becomes a normal child. For the first year and a half, the subtle energy body is healing, and then the physical body begins to heal. An autistic person already has changes in their physical body, so don't rush. a year and a half will pass, and your child will already have a normal, subtle energy body. They will already have much higher intelligence and abilities. They will already be 50% better, but after another 6 months, they will be a completely healthy child. Their physical body will heal. When does the body start healing? When the energetic blockages are cleared. Once the blockages are cleared, healing begins. Healing doesn't happen immediately. You need to clear the blockages first. Once the blockages are cleared, healing begins. At what age? Any age. How much time does it take? It depends on the severity of the disease. If you've had a disease your whole life, it will take 2 years of healing and it will pass. I had a buildup of illness in my lower back. It accumulated over 20 years. I've only been practicing cleansing for 10 years, but the illness has been building up for 20 years. My lower back started healing after about 5 years of my practice. The body doesn't heal everything at once because it checks how much you can handle. My lower back started aching 5 years ago. It ached for 3 years. After each run, I'd come home and my lower back would hurt. I thought maybe everything was wearing out there, and my theory was wrong. But after some time, the central part stopped hurting, then it started to spread out, and now my upper back between the shoulder blades is healing. My shin bones, lower back, hip joints, and upper thoracic spine have all healed. Now almost the entire spine has healed. Even at my age, the body is constantly renewing itself if you're doing cleanses. I feel rejuvenated. I feel better than I did at 50, much better. At 50, I weighed 90 kilograms. Now I weigh 80, and my weight doesn't move, neither up nor down, it stays steady. Remember, I used to be a bit fuller, a little chubby, but now I've lost weight. What else haven't I told you? Tell me. Oh, I haven't talked about oncology, right? Let me explain. Let's say you want to treat benign tumors or remnants of malignant ones, or you've had surgery for a malignant tumor. You must be sure that you're doing all 3 cleanses. In fact, oncology is treated mainly through prolonged movement and fasting. You need to treat air and sun energy because cancer is a depletion of air and sun energy. How does this happen? Let's say 2 blockages on some layer of air and sun energy combine in some way. That means the danger of cancer. For example, if it's on the 3rd layer, that indicates the risk of fibroids or a malignant tumor in the uterus. If the risk is on the 4th layer, then you need at least 3 layers of movement and fasting. So if you're not doing water and static exercises for 3 layers, you'll just overload your system. If you want to treat any form of cancer, you need to be sure that before reaching the layer where the tumor is, you must do healing practices. Otherwise, it will only get worse, understood? For example, if it's kidneys, it's the 4th layer. If it's liver, it's also the 4th layer. If it's skin, it's the 2nd layer. Now, the next thing you need to do, you need to take camelina oil. This is oil from Camelina sativa. It's a plant that was selectively bred from mustard, and it's quite small. Mustard oil is produced from it. It treats staphylococcus and streptococcus. Mustard oil. Another beneficial plant is rapeseed. It has rapeseed oil, which treats intestinal infections. It's also antiparasitic and antiviral. And Camelina sativa is about 1.5 meters tall, and it's derived from mustard. The flowers change color. They are more reddish. When oil is made from this Camelina sativa, it has a wide spectrum of antiviral properties, and this oil is also very suitable for treating cancer. It is a base for cancer treatment. How do you make the oil for treating cancer? You need to find a green spruce tree, not a blue one. You know, a spruce, not a pine tree. Got it? Like the spruce tree born in the forest, that's the one. If you use pine, everything will go wrong because pine is different and not good. You need to use spruce. Take the spruce needles, a lot of them. Fill a 1-liter jar tightly with fresh spruce needles. Then pour camelina oil into the jar and close it with a lid. Place it in a warm spot, like near a radiator or in the sun, for 3 weeks or a month. During this time, the needles will release their essential oil, and you'll have a mixture of camelina oil with spruce needles. That's it, the oil is ready. Now let's say you have fibroids. You rub the oil on your abdomen every morning, every day. Got it? If you've already had cancer, then you should rub the oil all over your body in the morning so that the cancer can't reappear anywhere. This oil prevents tumors from growing and suppresses their activity. Now the next practice. In the summer, you prepare the roots of the spruce tree. You take roots from 1.5 centimeters to 0.5 centimeter in size. Dig them up, wash them, and just leave them to dry somewhere. They dry on their own. They don't need anything. They just dry by themselves on the floor, that's all. Before they dry, cut them. When they're wet, they're easy to cut. Cut them into pieces about 4 centimeters long. That's it. Next, go into the forest and cut the bark from the spruce tree. You can't cut bark from small trees, and you shouldn't cut white bark from large trees. You should cut only black, dry bark. Cut it so that each piece is at least 4 centimeters long, 1 centimeter thick, and half a centimeter wide. Such similar pieces of bark, they don't have to be perfectly even. Then, if you have an active or inactive tumor, put both the spruce root and the bark on your left arm at the same time. Wrap them in a piece of cloth and wear them where your watch would go, on the front of your wrist, where the hair is on your arm. Also wear it on the front of your foot, where the arch of your foot bends, wrapped in a piece of cloth. Wear it from 6 a.m. until 12 p.m. If it's an active and malignant tumor, the tumors grow at night. If it's an active tumor, you put the bandage on at 6 p.m. and you remove it at 12 p.m. This is already a serious battle. These roots and bark work 24 hours a day, so here's how to calculate it. If you wear it for 6 hours, you can wear it 4 times. If you wear it for 18 hours, then you can only wear it once, but you can continue wearing it for 6 hours at a time afterward. Next practice. If you have a tumor in a certain area, you can attach pieces of bark to that spot. Take the pieces of bark, stick them onto tape, and then attach them to the area. If it's fibroids, place them on the abdomen, directly on that area, and tape it on. It's best to wear it from 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. This is the safest time because the sun is rising, and all healing takes place during this time. If there are any metastases, apply the bark directly to the area of the metastases as well. The next practice is to sit near a spruce tree. Sit for 1 hour and 40 minutes next to the spruce tree and just sit. All these practices together, plus cleansing the layers as needed, give you at least the opportunity to prevent the development of tumors. I want to tell you this. If you have a malignant tumor and you're not doing chemotherapy, surgery, or radiation, then everything I've shared won't help you. You'll just harm yourself. In other words, you'll waste time. So this method is intended as an auxiliary for those who've already had surgery, for those on chemotherapy. If you want to do something else, then do what I've described. Now, if you want to stop feeding the tumor, you need to stop eating meat, fish, eggs, and seafood. You should know that if you have a malignant tumor, you need to stop eating everything except what I'm about to list. You can only eat rye, hemp, and buckwheat groats. You can eat walnuts and pecans. You can eat any greens you want. They never contribute to the growth of tumors. You can eat all vegetables that grow above the ground, except for tomatoes, bell peppers, potatoes, and eggplants. You can eat all types of cabbage, zucchinis, pumpkins, patty pan squash. These are all fine. Vegetables that grow underground should not be eaten. You can only eat mung beans and green lentils from legumes. There are 3 spices that help dissolve tumors: nutmeg, allspice, and cloves. You should eat as much of these as possible. The only oils that are suitable are hemp oil and walnut oil. You can consume as much as you want. You should not eat any dairy products. You should not eat any grain foods or sweets. From fruits, you can only eat prunes.
What about polyps?
Polyps are not cancer. Strict nutrition is only for growing malignant tumors. For other conditions, you don't need to be as strict with your diet. Did you hear me? Tumors generally feed on grain, dairy, and sweet foods, especially sprouted grains. The food children eat is what the tumor feeds on. The foods I've listed can be eaten. You can expand your green intake: green avocado, cucumbers, green beans, vigna, and green apples. And also blue foods: blue beans, blue cabbage. This is all for oncology. If anyone wants to dissolve fibroids, they need to do all the healing practices. If you have fibroids and you're not walking for 3 layers, not fasting, then the practices I recommend will only make things worse. You'll experience an exacerbation and there will be no help. If a person doesn't do all the healing practices and starts using my methods, they'll harm themselves even faster. Why? Because they're directing their energy into healing but not increasing it. After a week of treatment, they'll feel worse. They'll apply the bark to their abdomen and they'll feel nauseous. Why? Because they're not replenishing their energy, they're just depleting it. Eventually overload will begin. So don't recommend these methods to those who aren't doing my cleansing practices. It will be dangerous for their health.
Dr. Torsunov, what about headaches?
It's the 3rd layer, and it's the energy of air and water. You need to cleanse all 3 layers. After 7-8 months of cleansing the blockages, your head will start healing, and in about a year, it will all pass. There's a guide and there are consultations. If you want to understand something more deeply or do it under the supervision of specialists, then sign up for a consultation and start healing. I want to recommend a spray that I invented 3 years ago during the well-known events. The spray contains 8 oils. It's made with field mustard oil as the base. It contains turmeric oil, field mustard oil, clove oil, eucalyptus oil, black cumin oil, neem oil, conifer oil, and bay leaf oil, 8 oils, all in very precise milligram proportions. These proportions keep the energy in perfect balance. They eliminate migraines, normalize blood pressure, improve work performance, and more. You can order this spray from Amrita or through the Good People Clubs as part of a group order. You spray once into your nose, then into your mouth, and the oil stays on the mucous membranes for about 7-8 hours. If you go to a crowded place, walk around with this oil, and you'll never get sick. And if you catch a virus, just spray it, and in 1-2 days it will be gone. This applies to both children and elderly people. Every time I go to a lecture, I spray it in my nose and mouth. And I haven't caught a cold in many years. I've forgotten what it feels like.
What is the shelf life of the spray?
3 to 4 years. I recommend buying the spray because it's a very reliable product and can save lives. To learn more on the subject of health and healing of the body, please make sure to read my health guide, available for download on my YouTube channel or on my Instagram page. Thank you very much, and see you soon.